Hello, Michelle here with From Surviving to Thriving. The majority of us have a very good idea of what it's like to have a disagreement with a narcissist. We're familiar with the degrading attacks at our core identity, the gaslighting, the projection, the triangulation, the double standard, feeling like we're banging our heads against the wall. But this video, we're going to hear a live conversation between one of our subscribers and her fiance. And with that in mind, I just would like to make it known that in this video, there is some profanity. I've edited it as best I can to delete the majority of that, but you may still hear some of that. So if anyone would be offended by that, please just skip over this video. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you are still in the situation or easily triggered, this video could possibly trigger you. So if you would prefer not to be triggered or to hear something that would bring up past pains that haven't been resolved yet, then again, you might want to skip over this video. And before I begin, I want to thank the subscriber for being willing to open up a piece of her life in an effort to help others. She sent me this video, this information, with the hopes that it can open the eyes of others that are in the situation to see it kind of from a third person point of view, where you're out of the situation. When you're inside the situation, it can be difficult to identify certain behaviors. When you see it in someone else, it can help. And so this video is being presented to try to help those that are still in the situation to realize what you can do to avoid certain behaviors that make it worse, how you can empower yourself to feel better about yourself, and all of that's going to be addressed at the end of this video. So what I did was I broke up the conversation in a few different videos that I'm going to edit and kind of weave together so that we can analyze it together. Okay, the first video is about 38 seconds, and in the conversation that you're going to hear, you're going to see verbal attacks at the core of a person. You see, because when you have a disagreement with somebody, you might be upset with what they did, what they said, their decision, how they talk to you, their tone of voice. But when you have a disagreement with a narcissist, you are attacked at your very core. You are inherently bad. A bad person in the eyes of a narcissist. And that is so damaging. That is so damaging to people that are being treated that way. It kind of stuns a person into not reacting accordingly or in a way that would help them, because you're so hurt at your core that it's difficult to even think clearly. So you're going to hear that. You're also going to see a double standard. And just to present it before I put up the audio of that conversation, there was a disagreement between the couple, and they both did the same thing. They both shared what was going on in the relationship with a third party. In this instance, the subscriber shared with her mother, and he shared with a friend of his. I want you to notice how he puts up this double standard that what she did was absolutely awful, makes her an evil person, but what he did is totally justifiable. Not only is it justifiable, but then he ropes in that person that he spoke to confirm how bad of a person the subscriber is. In other words, he brings in the triangulation, where there's someone else that knows what she's really like. And that only makes his accusations sound more as if they have more weight to them, because it's not just him supposedly saying that. So let's listen to the audio and then we can just analyze it a little bit more.
I don't even know what to do. I don't want to break our family up. I hate you. So tired of you. From your ungrateful bullshit I just let blow over when you told your fucking mom. I told DK about it because I had to vent to someone. And he was just appalled. Because he sees the fucking circus I weave together to make this life for you. You are such a piece of shit.
Okay, so did you notice how the subscriber's fiance attacked her at the very core of her person? She is a bad person. Why? For doing exactly what he did, except he had a good reason. The other thing I wanted to mention was in this triangulation where his friend just was appalled by what he knew was going on. I want to say something about triangulation, or when somebody kind of ropes somebody else to make what their accusation is have more weight. It's not always what we think. For example, we might think that the narcissist is telling us exactly the truth. But what that person might have said was, you guys have issues. And when the narcissist comes back, they say, this person knows that you have issues. And I can say that because when I first split with my ex, before I even knew about flying monkeys, there was a couple that I really, really liked before the split and the smear campaign kind of made me look like a bad person in their eyes. And anyway, I had taken my daughter and my son to a party where this couple was, and my ex found out because they told him, and he threw it in my face, telling me all kinds of things that they had said. Now, normally, I had let all of that slide off of me, but in this case, what he accused them of saying about me really hurt. And again, I was new to the smear campaign, didn't fully understand it. I was still in defensive mode, which can usually get you in a lot of trouble. But in this case, I did send a message on Facebook to her, basically saying that I was very surprised that she would say something so derogatory about me and the kids. And I mentioned what was said. This happens to be a very good person. And she messaged me back and said, that's not what I said. This is what I said. And it hit me at that moment that half of the things that the narcissist told me that people said about me were twisted and turned and came out as lies to me. And I am sure that that's what happened in this case as well. So when you hear the narcissist say, you're this, that, and the other person, and so knows, there are flying monkeys that are fooled. And there are flying monkeys that wind up looking at you in a bad way. But there are also people that see what's going on, even if we don't get a chance to talk to them. Because what usually happens is when you hear somebody sees you in a negative way, you pull back from that person. You're not going to open up to them. You're afraid they're going to say something bad about you. That's exactly what the narcissist wants you to do. They want to keep that breach so that you never see someone else's perspective, and you never really understand that that person really isn't against you. They just see things that are going on in both parties. Okay, so some things to keep in mind. So let's put up the next piece of audio. And in this part of the conversation, I want you to watch out for a lack of empathy that the narcissist shows. Pinpoint exactly what he does to just drive his lack of empathy deeper into the subscriber. And also notice how he sees her pain and tries to use this to gauge her future actions. And I'll talk about that after I put the audio up.
Go somewhere else and cry. I cry thinking I'll make you cry. Fuck you, bitch. You're such a piece of... Oh, God. Manipulative piece of shit. Make it get to this before you even think about what you're doing. Cool. Some shit from the IRS. Don't ignore it. This is going to be fun. No, there's an actual aliens. What is an astronaut? What? Incorrect U.S. status or incorrect claim of reduced rate purchased the Treasury. What? Dear sir, madam, you are receiving this letter. You're receiving this letter because you'll be making payments for a non-registered alien or his agent or representative. direct withholding and deposit and going in September 8th, 2016. Athlete, entertainer, tourist team. Friend did not take me to my doctor's appointment.
Not after you called me.
Oh, before I go through.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you started screaming at me.
Nothing you say is real. Holy shit, too, because I'm still being charged $88 a week.
Okay, so we know that a narcissist, one of their hallmark characteristics is a gross lack of empathy, like zero empathy. And I saw that in this conversation where he sees her pain and degrades her for it, tells her to get out of there. Does she really think that he's going to cry too? He has zero emotional response as far as empathy, to the point, and this was what really hit me. Did you notice what he did? He began reading the mail. There she was, crying and hurt, feeling devastated. And he's going to show her just how little he cares by reading the mail. That just really, it brought back a lot of memories for me when I would be so hurt by a conversation and he was untouched. Didn't faze him in the least. If anything, it made him like calm and relaxed and happy. So I noticed that in that section, and I want, after the video is over or after the audio is done, I want to put up some tips for you, for this subscriber who I really just wanted to put my arms around and say, tell her I'm sorry, and just kind of be there for her, because I was there. Hearing this conversation just reminded me so much of what I went through as well. So stay tuned after the audio is done, because I want to put up some suggestions that could possibly help you, because I know you're still in this situation. So we're going to put up the next part of the audio. In this next piece of audio, I want you to watch out for projection and gaslighting. Okay?
You direct the conversation to how I'm a horrible person, and that's why you don't have to listen to me.
I never ever do that. All I do is listen to you. It's if I reference anything that's to do with you, the conversation is over.
I didn't want to talk about it in the first place.
I'm so not being equal with you.
I told you I didn't want to talk to you because every single time that I try to discuss something with you,
if you just communicate,
you turn around and stop the conversation by criticizing me as a person.
No, you fucking don't. That's your defensive thing you repeat over and over in your head so you can tell a story. I treat you utterly respectful and let you run our life.
How do I run anything?
Shut the fuck up.
That's not true, Chris.
I do whatever the fuck you want.
What the fuck do I ask you to do?
Shut the fuck. I'm done. I'm done talking to you.
You know who you are, so instead of just dealing with that,
Oh, no, I'm done with your
you
psychological
turn
bullshit.
around and you tell me that I'm that person.
Okay, that's not reality, Cheyenne. No, that's what you do. That's what you fucking do. Let's think about this now. You just freak out about me smoking a cigarette. You're the one that has crazy mood swings and pretended to quit and didn't. Okay? And now that that's being referenced, I'm a piece of shit. Do you see that you're projecting? You're doing what you're saying.
You screamed at me
No,
smoking
no,
a cigarette
shut the fuck
and
up.
told my daughter that I didn't love her.
You don't. Well, you do, but you're addicted to shit. Stop trying to mix other shit into it to murk it up.
You don't think that's why I might be upset? It's because you screamed at me and yelled and told my kid I didn't love them because I was trying to quit smoking cigarettes and I messed up.
No, you
And
didn't
then
mess
you
up.
smoked a
did
cigarette?
great. You did great.
This was months
That
ago.
was months
Just a
ago.
couple
Right,
months
that was
ago.
months ago. Exactly. You're so fucking full of shit, and you're so deluded pulling shit up like that right now. Because you don't have a leg to stand on, so you're like, I'm going to say something horrible. You shit on other people for that, but that's how you are.
Okay, so did you notice the projection and the gaslighting, as well as the inability to be heard and misunderstood by the subscriber? Just to point something out, at one point he says, I am respectful, I respect you, and in a sentence and a half later he's telling her to shut up. He's saying how he listens to her, and yet he's not allowing her to say anything. He's not allowing her to get her emotions or even her side of the story to even be heard. This particular part of the discussion, sorry, that was not a discussion, of the argument and the abusive conversation really made me remember all those times when I tried to get my side to be heard. This is the part of the conversation where, you know how we say so often talking to a narcissist is like banging your head against the wall? Did you notice that that must have been what it felt like to this subscriber who could never get her side heard, could never get any validation for her side, was told, I respect you, shut up, in the same sentence, and every time she was trying to point out his behavior, he would affirm it was her. Haven't we all been there and know just how confusing and dizzying it is? Because if you'll notice, the only emotion that the narcissist has is anger. But I can feel the subscriber, I feel her confusion when he says, I let you run her life, and there's a pause. I can feel her thinking, how, what does that mean? And she's so desperately trying to understand what's going on, trying to get through, and it's just so confusing and dizzying. So let's go on to the next part of the audio. Again, I apologize for any profanity that might be on the next section or some of the sections where I see that I missed. It was just a lot. I tried to get as best I could. But in the next section, I want you to be aware of how the narcissist puts 100% responsibility on the other party for either ruining everything or causing the whole issue. It is all the other party's fault. And what this subscriber, I can feel or see her doing is just, she's searching to be healed from the pain of the derogatory comments he's given her. He said some awful things, and now I take it, I don't know the whole story, but I suppose he can't drive for whatever reason, and so he's dependent on the subscriber to get anywhere, and he has a doctor's appointment. All she wants is probably an I'm sorry, I shouldn't talk to you like that, an apology. Even though he needs something from her, he has zero interest in giving her what she needs, which is healing. She wants to know he feels bad for what he did, and he refuses to give it. Now, this was my ex. A flat-out refusal to apologize. No matter how obvious it was he was wrong, it just never happened. And so the subscriber says, well, then I'm not going to take you to the doctor. How can you treat me like this and expect me to continue to give? And that's how the narcissist is. They expect you to give and give and give no matter what you are receiving. So that's what happens in this part of the audio.
Actually fail at our life. So you're about to run off or do whatever the fuck now? I need to go to the doctor.
You told me to get out because I'm a cunt.
You are fine, but you can't get out because we have a life to maintain. See, you just throw your fucking hands in the air and think it ends. But it doesn't, because we have children and a fucking life to maintain. So don't get out. I need to go to the doctor. I've been waiting to go for like 6 fucking months.
to be with someone that calls me.
You know what? Then don't
All that stuff.
belittle a man to nothing and give people no voice in their life.
How do you figure, Chris?
Because I didn't like you smoking. I was told to shut the fuck up and leave you alone and don't fucking mention it again.
By who?
By you!
Chris, you jumped down my throat every time you thought I was smoking a cigarette. You called me names in front of the girls. You screamed at me.
That was months ago when it was like you had a fucking disease and you are so convoluted, it's fucking ridiculous. You know what? I don't want to break our family, but you give me no choice. You literally are giving me no choice.
I'm not taking you to doctor's appointment, Chris.
If you don't take me to the doctor's appointment I've waited for 6 months, you will go to your mother's and we are going to fucking break up. I'm serious. 100%. So if that's the decision you're making right now, then go prep the child support papers. Because I'm done being just bullied into kowtowing and apologizing.
So you call me a cunt and tell me to get out, and I'm still supposed to take you to your
Yes,
doctor's
that's not the point of what just happened. You escalated this, you kept...
You escalated this.
No.
You immediately started screaming at the top of your lungs.
No, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this with you. I'd rather not yell anymore and really end it. I'm serious. If you don't take me to my doctor's appointment, that's the underlining problem with my psychology. You are a bad fucking person. You give zero stuff, any work anybody else does because you take care of the kids all. Love you, Alana.
Did you hear how he ended the conversation? Saying he loves you to his daughter and I hate you to the subscriber. Now, I just want to say to the subscriber, I am very sorry for what you're going through. I know exactly what that feels like. I know that you're stuck in this situation at the moment, as you've explained to me through email. Even though you're stuck in this situation, there are things you can do to at least protect yourself. And I just want to mention it here and now. First, I know what it's like to want to think you can get through to the person. And we're thinking if we can just help them to see that we're hurt because of this awful thing they've done, then we can move on. And they refuse to see it. That's the part of the relationship when you start defending yourself and trying to help the other person to see that they've hurt you, which when you're in a relationship with a healthy person, that's normal and that's good to be able to do. But when you are in a relationship with a narcissist, to try to reach them only hurts you. And that was like this whole conversation was just a huge reminder to me and hopefully to others and hopefully to you to realize that anytime you try to get them to see your side, they never will. They will never see your side. They will never have empathy. They have no desire to apologize. They see nothing wrong with themselves. It's all you. When you realize that this person is not going to change, you can change you. It doesn't mean you give them a free card to be that way. It's actually the opposite. Now you are going to begin caring for you. How do you do that? When he's degrading you, when he's insulting you, when he's acting crazy like that and just calling you the most awful things in the world, start viewing him as if he's looking at himself in the mirror, because the truth is if you really want to know what a narcissist feels about himself, pay attention to what he accuses you of. He said some really crazy things in that conversation. Some that stood out to me was when he said, "Nothing you say is real." Trust me, that on an unconscious level, he was talking to himself. He hates you. You don't want to do the work of any self-healing to make the relationship better. Trust me, he's talking to himself. If you can remember that, it's not going to hurt you as much. It's going to hurt the fact that you're married to someone like that or you're in a relationship with someone like that, but it's not going to be like a knife in your core, ripping apart who you are as a person. It helps you to have more control over you and more confidence in you because you realize that you are not at fault. This is not about you. This is about his pathological illness and way of looking at things. If you can remember that, you'll feel stronger. You won't get sucked in. If he starts spinning, as he did in that conversation, they love to do that. If they can throw you off balance so that you're talking about what happened now or what happened a month ago, and you get so lost in what's being brought up, and then they accuse you of causing it, it's really like stepping off a carousel and the whole ground is going like this. It's like emotional vertigo. That's what they want to create in you, an emotional vertigo, so that you can't handle it correctly. And then you're left feeling like you don't even know what to feel or to think. You're lost. But don't engage. Once he starts bringing things up, stick with the present. I've put up a video on the broken record technique. It's designed to not get sucked into that crazy conversation where it's like a soup and he's spinning you and you just don't even know where the beginning, middle, and end of the conversation are. If you're upset with him for calling you a name, you stick with that. That is very disrespectful to call me this. That's it. Now, if he brings up the past things, okay, if you've done things in the past, forget that. There's no reason to go back there. You're dealing with something that happened in the present. Okay, if he wants to bring that up, again, I don't appreciate when you call me this name. It's a lack of respect. Eventually, he's going to get frustrated that he can't unbalance you. But at that moment, you have to feel your power. You're going to start to realize, wow, the more together I am, even though he's going crazy and maybe even possibly crazier and screaming louder, this is bad. Now, I know you feel stuck in this situation, but I'm going to say to anyone that is in a relationship like this, especially if you have kids, and that last video, I kind of let the child's voice stay till the end of the video because that was really heartbreaking to know that that innocent child is having to watch that. It's so heartbreaking. And for anyone in that situation, when somebody's out of control like that and they're screaming, at the moment they're screaming, you need to either have a defense. You can't allow, by allowing things like that, it only is going to escalate. The abuse is only going to escalate. Your capacity to handle it is going to continue to diminish with time. If you are thinking of leaving the relationship because of the abuse, those are the moments where you get authorities involved. You get some kind of domestic thing, starting a paper trail where this person is screaming and out of control. If you have that on video, the fact that he's speaking this way in front of an infant, you bring that to any, as their CPS in different areas where he's putting them in jeopardy. If you don't take advantage of the helps that are there when he's in that state, you might lose your chance to have proof of what's really going on. It's just something to think about. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying that if you are in a state where somebody's putting their hands on you, now that didn't happen in the conversation, but if it did, take advantage of that to put an end to it. You have proof and the state will protect you if you let them. I know it's difficult. I know you start thinking, is it the right thing to do? What if he changes? Maybe he didn't mean it. And all those thoughts go through your mind. But remember, you have this conversation taped. Listen to it. If you're ever thinking of going back to somebody that treats you like this, listen to something like this. And remember, this is what I'm going back to. And begin your case to protect you and the children. Now, I know in this particular case with the subscriber, at this moment she's not able to do that, and I completely understand, but that's a whole different situation. But I do encourage anybody that if your child is being raised around emotional abuse, derogatory, all that screaming, that is so unhealthy for your child, and you need to be there for them. So, another tiny piece of advice: your pain that he's inflicting on you, don't share that with the narcissist, because they feed on that. They only want to hurt you more, because being able to make somebody hurt and crushed makes them feel powerful. I'm not telling you to stop feeling, because that would be impossible. People that the narcissists choose are people that are feelers. Many of us are empaths. We very much want to see the good in people. We hate conflict. We want peace. We're sensitive. And they take advantage of that. So, I'm not telling you to stop feeling, but don't share it with somebody that's going to trample on it. Start getting a support system together of people you can trust. And if it's family members that are going to wind up getting in the middle of you guys, you might want to find someone else. Someone in this community where you can comment on a video, put your thoughts down on a Facebook group or a page where you can share your thoughts to people that have been there, and they're going to pick you up. I strongly suggest you do that so that you have a safe place to share your feelings, but do not share them with someone that's going to trample on them. So, or surround yourself with people that are going to build you up. And a tiny suggestion: his conduct is really low. His language is very, very derogatory. There's no class in that. Don't stoop down to his level. Give your kids at least a good example on your part on how to handle conflict. I know you've been in the relationship for a long time, and that's probably why you've become a reactive person. I was there. I was a calm person. I considered myself a peacemaker. I considered myself someone that hated conflict. I would rather be wronged than be right and have to have a war to prove it. I would rather have peace and apologize for any misunderstanding than, again, force my way of thinking on someone else. But guess what? As the relationship went on, I turned into a reactive person. And it's kind of hard not to when you are being attacked and your core is being, who you are as a person is being just trampled on. It's like somebody touching your eye and then you say, you're not allowed to flinch or move your hand out of the way. That's impossible. Somebody touches your eye, you're going to react. And I did. But you know what? I wasn't proud of the way I acted when I became that way. I wasn't proud of the way I acted. I lost my cool. I raised my voice. I used language that I've never used in my life. I was out of control. I couldn't take it anymore. I had reached my limit. But I hated the person I became. And I worked hard to get rid of that, because that wasn't me. That was who that abuse pushed me to be. But there came a point where I had to say, this isn't me. I'm not going to let him make me be something because it makes him a better person. So keep that in mind. Be a person that you're proud to be, even if he's acting a different way. Be a person your kids will be proud to say, you know, Mom, I appreciated you were firm, but you didn't scream like him. You didn't use the language like him. You didn't lose your cool like he did. You will be giving them a good example. And I say that because I wish, looking back, I had done that. But my kids came to me and said, Mom, I wish there were times you would just have stopped talking. You wanted to get through to him and you couldn't, and it always made it worse. They saw that. So I just want to help you to learn from my mistakes. Get control of you. Don't allow him to push you to be someone you know you're not. You're not that person. Don't allow him to push you, because a narcissist needs you to be the one screaming, yelling, out of control so they can breathe. Oh, look, it's her. She's, or he, they're the problem. It's not me. Look at how out of control they are. Okay, the problem is them. That's what they need. Don't give that to them. And I highly consider you looking into your options of leaving that situation. Imagine your kids seeing that the rest of their life, or for the majority of their childhood. One of two things is going to happen. They're either going to become like the stronger personality, like the narcissist, or they're going to wind up with a personality disorder, possibly borderline personality disorder, because of how they're being raised. Or they're going to wind up marrying somebody that's like that because it's familiar. The poster child for that. Or they're just going to have a core identity that is dependent. Their self-esteem is going to be dependent on how someone else views them. They're going to wind up codependent. So think of yourself, your mental sanity, and the health of your children. And I hope the best for you. I know that you are in an awfully difficult situation. Anyone that's still in that, I do not envy that. I remember that. I ran from that, and it wasn't easy, but it was the best thing I could have done. So keep that in mind. I hope the suggestions help. Anyone else that wants to leave some comments, I can encourage the subscriber who is going through a very, very difficult time. Please do so, because we all need encouragement. This person needs encouragement now in her life. So please leave a comment to build her up and be there for her.